Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene. Hey everybody, welcome to A Culinary Journey. I'm Luca. Today's show, we're going to take pork porterhouse and beef tenderloin and make two great dishes that'll be easy to do, really impress your guests, and you'll have a great time making it. So the pork porterhouse, we're going to brine it first, and that's just a quick brine. I'll show you, talk you through the brine and show you how that works. And then the tenderloin, I don't know, we're going to pan sear it and maybe serve a sweet potato risotto with a little bit of bacon in there. I'll tell you all about that because your culinary journey with our friend, the beef tenderloin and the pork porterhouse, starts now. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. So, this is what we're doing. We're going to make pork with a mustard crema. We're going to do beef tenderloin. We're going to pan sear that. We'll give it some fun. And then my favorite thing to do today, that I'm going to be doing today, is a sweet potato risotto. Basically, pan searing sweet potato as a risotto. Now, the same way you do a traditional arborio rice risotto is where you cook the rice in the stock or in the water or whatever you're going to use for it. And with that, it'll just absorb, pull out some of the starches, make it nice and rich and creamy, and then cook at the same time, unlike you would do normal rice. So now what I'm doing with the sweet potato, same thing. I'm taking raw sweet potato. We're going to cut them up in nice small pieces. And then once I've cut them up into the small pieces I want, we're going to cook them slowly, adding a little bit of water at a time, finishing it with some cream and butter and all that fun stuff. And we're going to make a nice, rich, creamy rice dish or risotto dish, but without the rice. The sweet potatoes are rice. So you're going to get a lot of nice flavor from it, of course, from the sweet potato, a little sweetness. And then maybe we'll finish it off with some Parmigiano cheese. We're really going to mimic a risotto here. So this is the thing that's going to take the longest amount of time. And we'll serve that with the pork. Sweet potato and pork, great way to do a nice little dish. So right there, small dice of the sweet potato, fresh sweet potato. You don't want to blanch it off or cook it down at all because you want to get this nice small dice. All right, so I'm going to do it in a small pan, in a flat pan, because it'll cook a little bit quicker. And depending on if you want to make this for 2 or 3 people or 1 person or whatever, you don't need a really deep pan. They're not going to expand like rice is, so you don't have to worry about that. You're just cooking it down lightly. So to start this off, I'm just putting a little bit of oil in the pan, right? And I'm going to season it with some bacon. It's going to be a bacon and sweet potato risotto. Now, the bacon's going to add some more fat to this, and I want to cook it ahead of time. Again, give it more flavor. So we'll chop up the bacon. We'll get it in there as well. A little olive oil, some bacon. We'll save some bacon for something else. We'll figure something else to do with it. And we want to keep all that, again, keep all that fat in there with the sweet potato because it'll absorb it. It'll be absolutely wonderful. You're going to be very, very happy with this. Now, if you didn't want to do the olive oil with the bacon, the other thing you could do in this case is just salt the bacon in a pan, get it nice and hot. You know what? You got to turn it on for it to start cooking. To get it nice and hot, and then the salt will start pulling out that fat. We're going to get this here, render this down. All right, so we have our bacon going for our sweet potato risotto. There's our sweet potato for that. The other ingredients we're going to need for this be a little bit of cream and a little bit of Parmigiano cheese. Maybe in this case we'll use ricotta salata. We'll get a whole different flavor in there. and we'll bring that all together, okay? So that's on the side. For the pork and the beef I'm doing today, I got a couple of things going on. The pork is a porterhouse chop, so if you're able to get this, it's really cool. So one side of the porterhouse, here's the bone that's right here in the middle, right? One side of the porterhouse, that's the tenderloin. So that's the pork tenderloin. It looks like a porterhouse that you would have on beef as well. And the other side is the loin chop. Now, a lot of people use the loin chop for pork cutlets or roast pork. What you have here is a nice tenderloin piece right here, and the pork piece around the bone. It stays nice and tender, rich, tons of flavor. It's a beautiful piece. And what I've done is brine this. Now, when I take it out of the package or I get it already cut from my butcher, what I do is do, let's say, a gallon of water. In that gallon of water, I put a cup of sugar, brown sugar, a cup of salt, bay leaves, and whatever other seasonings you want. Mix that up, and then you allow your pork to sit in there pretty much overnight. Now, what that's going to do, this brine, the salt is going to open up the pores. The sugar, the salt, all the flavor you've done into your brine are actually going to get absorbed in there. And there are a million different brines you could do out there. We could do an apple cider brine. You could do a brine with much more intense flavors, juniper, bring in all these different flavors. And it does season your pork from the inside, tenderizes it, gives it some nice moisture, and it gives a whole other flavor concept. So that's that. The beef we didn't touch. That's perfect beef. Luckily, I'm cooking it. I mean, it's lucky if I cook it because I don't even need to do that. So we're going to take, here's our bacon rendering down. Look at that. That's going to get nice and crispy, adding tons of flavor to this pan. And as that's cooking down, then we're going to add in our rice for rice. I keep calling it rice because it's risotto. We're going to add in our sweet potato to make our sweet potato risotto. All right, so that's going there. All right, with the pork, there's not a lot more you need to do about it. All the flavor is really inside. So we're going to serve this, a little pepper on the outside, and just a little bit of salt. I bet if you didn't have to, you don't even have, if you didn't want to, you didn't even have to. So we'll set that up on the outside, and we'll get this pan in the back nice and hot. So, got that. I'm going to make one more thing that we're going to add to our pork. It's a mustard crema. So basically it's like a light cream sauce with mustard to it that you're going to serve with the pork. Now I want to go cold. Go a little bit cold on one side, a little bit hot on the other side. We're going to kind of do this little blend. Really cool. What it is Dijon mustard, sour cream mixed together. That's it. Any other thing you do to this, you could add some herbs or spices, but you really don't have to because this blend of mustard and sour cream with your pork is going to be one of the nicest accompaniments that you put with it. So we have our mustard crema. We have our risotto cooking down, and with the sweet potatoes, I want to make sure the sweet potato cooks into that fat, and I want to make sure it soaks it all up. We're going to salt this, and once it's absorbed a lot of the fat, and once that starts getting a little bit drier, I'm going to add the next step, which is a little bit of water or stock to kind of just start softening up our risotto. I got that going. Here in this pan, I'm going to start our pork chop. And we're going to take a quick little break while our pork chop starts searing on both sides. Not worried about it overcooking because it's nice and, from the brine, it's going to stay nice and juicy and moist. So we're going to cook this all the way through. And when we come back, we'll pan sear our beef tenderloin medallions. A couple little accompaniments to go with that. You're going to absolutely love, so don't go away. I'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. So listen, this is what I have going on right now. I have, in this pan, sweet potato and bacon cooking down, like amazing. A little bit of fat in there, but we're going to bring that all together with some more fat, cheesy and yummy. I threw a little bit of stock in there to cook the sweet potato, so we're letting that cook down. And I turned this on low. We have a pork chop that was brined that I'm just searing on both sides really nicely, getting some nice color to it, as well as cooking it all the way through. We're going to actually cook it all the way on the pan right here. And in this pan, I'm going to start cooking off my beef. Now I'm going to do something simple with my beef. We're just going to pan sear it with a little salt, pepper. The risotto is going to give us all the flavors we want to do for the sauce because it's going to be rich and creamy. We'll just put it right on top. For the pork, though, what we're going to do is something I've done before, which is a quick pickle or just a vinegary tomato, and I just love the way this comes out. It was called escabeche. Basically, I'm going to take some onions, let's see, we'll do some shallots or red onions in there, and the tomatoes themselves, a little bit of oil, heat them up, and then put a good amount of vinegar in there, let them all absorb that. So that's going to go against the richness of the pork, and then the fattiness of the risotto, and then you're going to get this kind of bright, vibrant flavor from the escabeche. And then finish it all off with a little spiciness from that Dijon crema we made. So it's all about kind of like this balance of flavors, and that's something that, you know, forever working in kitchens, any chef will tell you is kind of balancing off your flavors. And I find that when you do that, you introduce different parts of it. It's not so level. People just get excited more and more each time. So let's do that. So here we are. We have our rich, creamy, sweet potato and bacon. Sounds tremendous. I'm going to add a little cream to this to start bringing this together. All right? And as the cream and the bacon start coming together, we'll turn this down. This will be not too far away. When this kind of comes together, that risotto portion is going to be ready. We'll add some cheese to that. Our pork is looking good. Let's get our steaks on in our pan. Oh, this pan's going to be nice and hot. Let's get our steaks in there and start searing them on either side. So I'm making these for Lee, so we're pretty much done. I'm going to have to cook it a little more than that, Lee. Sorry about that. We got a heavy sear on one side, heavy sear on the other side, and then we're going to let them finish, and then we're going to let it rest, so that way all the juices stay together. So we got those two together. Here's what I'm going to do with the escabeche. First of all, I want to cut up some onions for it. And I just want to keep whole pieces. I want some nice big pieces. They'll go nice underneath. Have a nice little contrast of sizes also. All right? And then my grape tomatoes, and we'll just cut those in half. We get our pan on. This is a real simple thing. And when I've done this before, people have just been like, wow, it just adds so much really great flavor to what your dish is going to be. And it's basically what, like I like to call it, a quick pickle. Always find a really good vinegar. I have this wonderful Roland vinegar over here that I'm going to show you all about it. And we'll get that in there. And really, it takes no time at all. Sometimes you could do it right before you serve your entree. And let's get a couple more of these in there. Our beef is searing, our pork is almost done. And if you let's take a look real quick at that risotto. See how that's starting to come together. See that? That cream is starting to get into the rice. Oh, it's going to be so good. There we go. I'm telling you, this is going to be one of my favorite dishes we do here. By the time it's all said and done, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. A little bit of oil in the pan while it's getting hot. Let's get the onions and the tomatoes in there. Nice little sizzle. Ta-da! Now watch, and I'm serious about it being quick and really pow flavor-wise. Put a little salt in there, a little kosher salt. You want to make sure that the tomato and the onions are hot. You want to make sure that they're getting what I like to say activated, ready for the introduction of the vinegar. So let them get hot. Don't let them caramelize, but you want to let them get nice and hot and start getting ready. We have a beautiful sear on our tenderloin right over here. These things are huge. They're going to be gorgeous for that. And let's do this. Let's get some vinegar in there. Let's get this top off because I want to put a good amount of vinegar in there. Maybe not. There we go. There we go. Get all that vinegar in there. And stay back. If there's nothing more potent than a vinegar facial, and it's really going to be strong because it's hitting that heat really quickly, and we want to let that all absorb into there. Okay, that's all we need to do for our escabeche. That's going to pick up all those flavors. The onion, I want to keep it a little bit, kind of like a little bite to it, right? You want to keep that like that. All right, let's go back to our risotto. We add some parmigiano to that. All right, so our beef is cooking. I added risotto, we added our parmigiano. We're going to mix that up. Our pork is almost done. We're going to let our beef rest. We have our pickled tomatoes and onions to go under this dish. I think we got almost everything we need. When we come back, I'll plate it all together. And you're going to absolutely love the way this finishes up. Don't go away. Some cool stuff ahead. Hey everybody, welcome back to A Culinary Journey. So listen, we got our steak and our porterhouse done, right? So for the porterhouse, what I'm doing is this mustard crema. It's going to go on the bottom of the plate. So you have pork and mustard, just go really well with a little sour cream. The Dijon mustard just has a nice little kick to it. You do it over the risotto, and then just to kind of balance that out and give it some color, we'll put our pickled tomatoes over the top that we did. And I mean, couldn't you see buying that at a fancy restaurant if you wanted? With the beef tenderloin, we're going to do the same thing. Those two same ingredients right there. But the steak will just be by itself, but it's going to get finished with a little bit of that amazing Roland balsamic glaze. I like to just grab if I have it around. And we just, with that applicator tip, you just kind of squeeze out the balsamic. And you know what? It's really easy to make interesting, fun dishes at home that you would get at a restaurant. And you know, with all the money you could spend on them, here you get to take some ingredients like tomatoes and sweet potatoes and your pork and the crema, and you make an incredible dish. I really think get out there, experiment, have fun, play with different ingredients, and you could have a blast. And I hope you like these two dishes. I know I'm going to in about 2 minutes. So we have so many more great dishes like this on our culinary journey. And I will see you on that next culinary journey. Brought to you in part by Monadnock Flooring and Decorating, offering quality sales, service, and installation for over 35 years on Production Avenue next to Subaru of Keene.